Would I have the chance to see him before we left? I hoped for it and against it at the same time. I waited. It was the longest day I could remember. My patience was running out. My dinner was served in my room as usual. I didn't eat much. I wasn't hungry. I left the table at about 7 o'clock. I was 120 minutes away from the moment when I would join my friends to leave. My heart beat widely. I was growing more scared by the minute. I wanted to see the saloon for the last time. I went downstairs to the museum where I had spent so many happy hours. I looked at all its riches, all its treasures. It was hard for a man like me to leave this all behind. In passing through the saloon, I came near the door to the captain's room. To my great surprise, the door was open. I quickly leaned back. If the captain was in his room, he could see me, but hearing no noise, I went closer. The room was empty. I pushed open the door and took some steps forward. Suddenly, the clock struck 8. My eyes fell upon the compass. We were still traveling north. Our speed was normal and we were at a depth of about 60 feet. I returned to my room and dressed warmly. I could I put on sea boots, an otter-skin cap, and a coat lined with sealskin. I was ready and waiting. At a few minutes to 9, I put my ear to the captain's door. I heard no noise. I returned to the saloon, which was empty. I opened the door connecting to the library. All was quiet there, too. I stood by the door leading to a main staircase and waited for Ned's signal. At that moment, the movement of the vessel stopped. That meant we were resting on the bottom of the ocean. I grew more worried. I wished that I could find Ned and tell him to put off his escape. The door of the saloon opened and Captain Nemo appeared. He saw me and said, "Ah, sir, I have been looking for you. Do you know the story of Spain?" My nerves wouldn't let me answer. "Did you hear my question?" Captain Nemo asked again. Do you know the history of Spain?" "Not well," I said. "Well, sit down and I will tell you a strange story," Captain Nemo began. I listened as the captain started his story. It began back in 1702. I knew most of the history he was telling me, but I still couldn't understand why I should be interested. So, on October 22nd, 1702, the English ships arrived in Vigo Bay. Admiral Chatham Renault fought bravely, but he knew the riches he had would fall into the enemy's hands. So he burned all the treasure ships, which went to the bottom of the ocean. At this, the captain stood and told me to follow him. The saloon was dark, but the waves were sparkling outside like glass windows. I looked. For half a mile around the Nautilus, the water seemed to glow. The sandy bottom was clean and bright. Some crew members were carrying away broken cases to the treasures, and the treasures they found were more beautiful than words. There were trunks of gold and silver, and mounds of jewelry. The sand was piled high with it. The men picked up what they could. They carried to the ship, placed it inside the vessel, and then went out for more. I understood now. This was the scene of the Battle of October 22nd, 1702. On this very spot, the ships filled with treasures for the Spanish government had sunk. It was now Captain Nemo's hiding spot. His bank was a safer place than anywhere on earth to keep one's treasures. "Did you know the sea held such precious gems?" the captain asked with a smile. "I did," I replied, "but I didn't know the amount and I certainly didn't know where. For any country to come take this wealth from the ocean bottom would be silly. They would spend more money trying to get it than they would end up with. But I can take this